Today, I'd like you to take a step back with me. So often in playing the games we love, especially the older ones, we spend a lot of time running straight through it, objective to objective. This is all well and good, as we do still enjoy ourselves and find all the copious amounts of nostalgia that we need out of the time that we spend in these games, but humor me for 1 second. Today I want to explore every nook and cranny of possibly the most bypassed area in Ocarina of Time, Hyrule Castletown. Really quick, please consider subscribing to this channel if you like the subject matter. I continue to grow my N64 game collection as the weeks trail by, and I love to make retrospective content in this style surrounding my favorite era in gaming. Anyways, thanks for watching. Let's get into exactly what Hyrule Castletown is really all about. Let's start this off with the first thing we see coming into town. This bustling group of people. What could they all be so excited about around this blue stall? I've never visited this stall in my life. As it turns out, it's just a busy stall in the town's market. Nothing specific is ever mentioned here, so we're kinda just left to guess about what they're fighting over. I really like small details like this because it just kinda makes the world feel more alive. There's no chance for a kid this size to see past all these adults to figure out what they're trying to buy, so there's really no need for us to worry about it. Shoppers will be shoppers, I guess, even in Hyrule. Funny enough, there is another stall next to this building with a similar situation. Everyone here has the same lines of dialogue as the other stall, but I guess that just means right about midday is the most busy time to go shopping in Castletown. The other most notable thing that we can see walking into the market is these two men making a scene of some sort. When speaking to them, we can find out that one of them was nearly crushed by Ganon's horse as he's riding out of town after Zelda, and the other one is laughing at his scared expression. Just some friends poking fun at one another, I guess, albeit not in a very kind way. Funny enough though, if we visit this pair of men on a file that hasn't already gathered all the sacred stones, they're talking about something completely different. As it turns out, Blue Shirt Guy has suffered misfortune once again in the way that he tried to get into the castle to speak with Princess Zelda before you arrived here. It's actually because of him that all the guards are walking around on extra duty inside the castle trying to stop you from reaching her. Kind of fun to see these little hints in-game towards what you're meant to do. Because I already know what to do in every turn of this game, it sorta comes off as more of an Easter egg than a hint to me. I like these guys. If we head a little further right, we can find some stairs leading to the top of this building. Here, there's a man at the end of the small path of rupees talking about how odd it is that a Gerudo man has come to the castle. It's not every day Castletown sees a Gerudo in their midst. If we wander underneath the steps that lead us to this man, we can also find one of these beggars. Although, it's kinda hard to call them a beggar because they'll pay you pretty handsomely for various items that you can catch in a bottle. Blue Fire is the one that you'll receive the most pay for, so if you're looking to farm, there you go. Something about him does seem a little fishy, but as he's given me rupees, I guess I'll just leave well enough alone and stop looking into it. On this side of the market, we've also got a bunch of people to talk to that are just walking around. In front of this building, we have a lady in a blue dress talking about the legendary Temple of Time and that it's rumored to be the entrance to the Sacred Realm, something that we know firsthand is absolutely true. We also have this wise old lady that feels that something terrible is about to go down and wonders if she should leave town. This is honestly a good call considering how Hyrule Castletown looks after the time skip to Ganon's ruling era. An old man close by the old lady talks about the one on the white horse carrying Princess Zelda out of the castle. Wasn't that a legendary Sheikah? Well, yeah, Impa is a legendary Sheikah, as we can see Sheik himself, herself, wearing very similar clothing later in the game. This old man is pretty knowledgeable to understand the tribe Impa comes from at such a short glance. This couple over here is kind of interesting as I don't fully understand what's going on. Firstly, this lady speaks about a cute girl around here who maybe went to the castle. At first I thought she might have been talking about Zelda like everybody else was, but it's probably more likely that she was talking about Myloe from the start of the game, who came from Lon Lon Ranch to find her father who was doing a delivery to the castle. If she were talking about Zelda, she probably would have noticed she was riding straight out of Castletown and wouldn't have thought she might have gone to the castle. Talking to her man, he seems to know for certain that something has gone down in the castle. I guess seeing the princess ride off in such a terrified fashion would be a pretty good indicator of that, but it makes me wonder how this guy came to this conclusion. Do you think he's got a job as well that takes him into the castle? Or maybe it's just hearsay and he's got ears all over the kingdom. Or maybe it's just that he saw Impa and Zelda riding out of town. These are the things that I like to think about with these kinds of characters. The last thing that confuses me though is that this lady is now telling us that she isn't dancing but is actually just really itchy. Why? Okay, I don't know. Let's move on. Standing by these shops, we've got this nice lady who loves her dog. She claims it can run around faster than any of the other dogs, but I can't really verify whether that's true or not. Next to her, we've got this fellow that noticed Princess Zelda riding out of town, but he doesn't think much of it. He pretty much only ever talks about Lon Lon Ranch and that it's such a nice place and we have to visit it, so maybe he kinda just thought Zelda went over there. One of the most notable couples in the whole plaza stands right here in front of the camera dancing, and boy are they enamored with each other. They can't take their eyes off of each other, and the only things that they say when you listen in are that each other are so beautiful and handsome that they couldn't possibly be happier. Man, Talk about a bad case of PDA. Over near the bazaar, we've got this character who seems to know a lot about who Ganondorf is. It's surprising to see someone so knowledgeable, and it really makes me wonder about the backstory of this character, and maybe where he comes from, or who he's talked to in order to obtain the knowledge that he holds. And all he cares about is his beard. Literally all he talks about is his beard being his pride and joy. Alright buddy, never mind. Finally, we've got a couple of different people running around the plaza. There's a little girl here chasing a cuckoo for some reason, and there's an actual contributor to society that I never noticed. This man, who is cursed to endlessly run between one bustling group of people to another, actually tends to these shopping stalls. If you speak with him, he only mentions that he's running late, and I should say so considering all of the people that are so worked up over whatever it is that they're trying to buy. It does seem scarce and worth fighting over, so maybe this guy needs to find some help running his stores sometime. That could do wonders for his business. Moving away from the citizens though, let's explore the shops in this area. Firstly, we've got a potion shop run by Matt Mercer himself. He doesn't have too much to say about anything other than potions, but I guess that's fitting for his line of business. I respect it. There's another man in this shop though who speaks of another potion shop capable of making a very potent medicine. Of course, he's talking about the witch behind Kakariko's potion shop who makes the medicine that basically kicks off the whole side quest for the Bagoron sword. Moving on though, we've got the bazaar. Another pretty simple shop here. The shopkeeper talks about the Hylian shield being his best seller. There's a Goron asking you to buy bombs from the shop as he's the provider for them and hopes to make a profit. And there's one final guy in the corner talking about a monster that eats Hylian shields. Of course, they're talking about the legs, which I think is a pretty cool little piece connecting the whole world together. I really like how much these people have to say about the Gerudos and the monsters of the world that maybe you haven't noticed. We've got a couple of game shops in the plaza as well, being the Bombchu bowling place and the archery range. The archery range is a really simple place with simple ideals. The guy behind the counter just asks if you want to play, and whether you do or not will shape your experience coming into this shop. The Bombchu bowling person though, she's tired as hell. She barely wakes up when you come to the counter, and with what might seem like a tinge of mystery, she also tells us we can't see the prizes until we pay to play the game. I don't really see why this would be the case, and it almost seems to me like she's just too tired or lazy and doesn't want to do any amount of work that doesn't need to be done. If you aren't going to play, why would I bring out the prize for your game, right? She kinda hits me the wrong way, but also, she's getting the bag, so props to her for working efficiently, I guess. Beyond here, we have the alleyway that I feel like so many people have probably forgotten about or didn't even know existed in the first place. There really is no reason to come around here unless you're looking for every heart container. In this back alley though, we find a locked door and a man next to it who's loitering around. No, there's nothing wrong with loitering. There's nothing wrong with loitering, I'm sorry. There's a guy further into the alley that talks about a crazy pack of dogs that runs around at night, which is kinda nice to know considering you need the white dog to follow you at night for a heart piece. There's another guy that tells us about a secret fountain near the castle, being the Great Fairy Fountain, of course, which I think is pretty cool. I mean, if you were looking around trying to find all the fairy fountains, you may not have gone all the way back to the castle after getting the bombs in order to open up this fairy fountain, but with the help of this old man here, you've got nothing to worry about. Next to this helpful old man though, we have just an empty house. Like, it's one room, completely empty. Whoever this house belongs to, they should probably lock it up when they're gone. Like, I know that I wouldn't want a random curious kid walking in and touching all my belongings like that, so, I don't know, it just seems a little irresponsible. If you come back here at night though, you'll find that this house belongs to the dog lady from the market. If only Link were a little more talkative, perhaps he could give her some advice on keeping her privacy private. Back into the alley, we have one final locked door, and just outside of it, we have a treasure game shop that's only open at night. I'm not entirely sure why it's only open at night, but it is basically a gambling house unless you've got the lens of truth, so maybe it's meant to be a nighttime casino type deal? Not entirely sure here. Last of all, how could we possibly forget about the Happy Mask shop? This shop will have you delivering masks all over the land of Hyrule, working to get funds to the Happy Mask salesman in order for him to increase his stock and sort of build up his store. He seems like a nice enough guy, but in the end of it all, he is willing to just lend out this Mask of Truth as it's called, which is capable of talking to animals and apparently reading minds? Maybe he is a bit of a sketchy character after all, but at least he's nice to us. That's pretty much all I have to say about Hyrule Castletown. I know there's no big conspiracy I'm building towards or any real economical problems I'm trying to point at within Hyrule Castle's walls. I just really like exploring every corner of these pieces of the worlds in my favorite games. It's so interesting to me to see what sort of life the developers filled this game with. Like, even as a kid, I'd often just be running through places like this without really giving a second look at any of the random characters here because they aren't really important to any sort of story, but looking at them now, I can appreciate all of all their charm. Hyrule Castle Town is a really cool place to me, and its inhabitants seem like honest people just trying to get by most of the time. If you like this sort of retrospective N64 content, feel free to like the video or subscribe, as I'm doing stuff like this all the time. As for now though, I've got more content to make coming into the new year. My name is Myloe, and I'm out.